Before we actually start this video, I should do a shameless self-plug. I want to stream more, like at least once a week, with a focus on Arknights and fighting games and the occasional variety game. These streams will usually happen Saturday, 8 PM GMT, or the same time on the same day an Arknights event releases, so usually around Thursdays. Unless it's a story episode, then it might as well be Tuesdays. If you do not want to miss a stream, I highly advise joining my Discord server and selecting the Twitch role there. This will always ping you whenever I go live, and occasionally I will also do the stream reminder. If there is something you're interested in, hey, come by and chat a bit. And this should be all for my self-plug. Let's go into the actual video now. As many of you know, Arknights has factions ever since it first released. These usually represent larger regions or a special group of operators. With the newest release of CN, we got a new faction to add to our ever-expanding list, this faction being Ava Musica. And these units have a mechanic that I personally think is a bit underutilized. Faction synergy. But let's first of all talk about what is faction synergy. I personally would describe faction synergy as a passive effect that every member of a faction has that buffs or supports other members of that same faction. Hello, it's me from editing. As a little bit of clarification, when I'm talking about faction synergies, I actually mean these smaller factions and not entire regions. We all know the most well-known faction synergy in Arknights, the Abyssal Hunters squad. Ulpianus, Skadi, Claudia, and Triana, Spectre, and Spectre Outer. They give a lot of different buffs to each other, like ASPD from Triana, max HP regen and damage reduction from Claudia, attack and max HP from Skadi, an overall damage increase from Spectre, max HP and SP regen from Spectre Outer, and some more HP and attack from Ulpianus. Keep in mind, these are stats with their modules at max. Overall, this makes all of the Abyssal Hunters extremely strong just from the sheer amount of stats they get. Add on top of that a huge amount of HP buffs, which makes nearly all of the Abyssal Hunters unkillable as long as Claudia is deployed somewhere on the field, because max HP regen do be like that. But now, finally, we got a new, complete faction synergy that may be able to rival them. The Ava Musica synergy. In case you do not know who these girls are, these are the Ava Musica collab operators. Ava Musica is a band from the Bang Dreams universe, and this is about all you need to know, because this is not an Ava Musica video. Let's go down the list of buffs they give to each other. Let's begin with Oblivionus. She gives defense and resistance ignore and expands her own attack range with her teammates. This is already quite good synergy, since two of her teammates are a bard and an ambusher, so they have a naturally very high range. Now being able to expand her own attack range to that makes her quite the versatile Lord God. Next up we have Mortis. Mortis is a doorkeeper. She gets the following addition. The substitute duration is reduced every time the team attacks, and this synergizes quite well with Oblivionus and Amorous' new keyword talent that they continuously attack, meaning that they will attack even there's no enemy in sight. Let's move on to Timorous. She gives additional damage to her team as long as the enemy has a certain CC. And her skill 1 will activate without consuming SP as long as another member activates their skill. So not only does she have pretty much constant access to a strong burst skill, she also is able to apply the CC, which is the one she needs for her talent to work. Afterwards we have Amoris. Amoris is a bit more simple since she just gives basic attack increase. And finally Dolores, who supplies her members with additional arts damage based off her own attack. And these would just be the effects they gain from talents. This doesn't include anything that they would gain from skills, as well as the fever mechanic, which gives them even more bonuses on some of their skills, as well as making sure that all of their skills are synchronized. Overall, these faction buffs are quite strong. And I have always wondered, why haven't we seen more of them in this game? After all, we have quite a number of factions. It just feels like they are giving out random. We have factions like Blacksteel, Rhinelap, Pinus Sylvestris, Carlin Trade, Chiavis Gang for all that I care, Babel, all of the different Rhode Island groups, the Followers, Sweep, USSG, Glasgow, SUI, the LDA, the LGD, Penguin Logistics, Team Rainbow, Laios' Party. With all of these operator groups, we have nothing that comes even close to the synergy that the Abyssal Hunter operators or the Ava Musica operators have. Some members will occasionally buff up other members, but these are few and far between, like with Glasgow, Rhineland or USSG. Other times, they have buffs which spread outside of their faction for like an entire region, like Flametail or Exo-Auto have it, or a specific race, mechanic or class, like for example Siege would do. If we go further than that, Sui for example only has Shu, whose buff needs her faction, but applies it to all operators, which then just forces you to bring along 3 additional operators just to get the max value from Shu's talent. Which in my opinion defeats the purpose of faction synergy, and therefore I wouldn't call it a faction synergy, but just like a faction tag-along. On the other hand, we have something that works a bit differently but is not reliant on faction, like mechanic synergies. Like we have it with the Barbel operators. Herderer's Talent 1 greatly benefits from W's Skill 2 CC or Ines' Bind CC, but it's not exclusive to W and Ines. Just thinking about the possibilities, if all factions, or at least most factions, had a similar kind of synergy to Abyssal Hunters, it would certainly elevate and improve certain operators, while making team building a lot more interesting. Since then you would also have a reason to bring along certain operators you otherwise would never use to increase the performance of another operator in your squad. But looking back at it, it makes sense that we do not have that much synergy in this game. Many of these factions have a lot of operators in their roster that have been around since the release, like Blacksteel or the USSG. The Abyssal Hunters only ever had Spectre as a member until they released Scuddy. From this point on, they gave the Hunters synergy skills. But it just is kinda weird why even later operators or factions didn't get one. Like, why didn't Team Mango gain synergy? They are from a game after all where team play is the main focus, or Laios' Party. But Ava Musica get synergy? Since I am not part of the design team, I can't really answer that question. But I can give you the simplest solution to the problem. Give operators modules. It worked with Spectre. Spectre originally did not have a synergy skill on her own. She got one with the modules. And there technically is nothing stopping them from kitting out other factions with synergy modules. But it is just what I want. But what about you guys? Do you also think that this is an underutilized mechanic? How would you handle this mechanic? Do you think it would be too strong if every faction had something along those lines? Let me know in the comments, and obviously don't forget to like and subscribe. And hopefully I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.